How's it going, y'all? In my YouTube channel slash versus series community. This is something of a look to the future discussion about the versus series and its what the future for it could hold and how it's gonna move forward in the future. So a couple months back, I said I was going to be taking a break from Versus Series, and I am still on that break. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not really motivated to make any full-on Versus videos. Currently, I have ideas for matchups, but I don't necessarily have the energy to put them to intense script form, spend several hours recording them, and then spend weeks editing. I'm not ready. I'm not with I don't have that much passion just yet. I will one day, but so I'm still pretty much on that break, but one thing I can say is I'm not quitting Versus series indefinitely. I'm not quitting like other Versus series creators who, they don't mind the voices in the background. They don't know I'm recording. Like other Versus series creators, they quit because of the stress or the lack. I'm just taking a break. I'll likely come back at some point. There's just things that I'm more interested in currently. Actually, that's one thing I wanted to ask at the end of the video. Another idea I wanted to do for the channel that is based off of Adventures of Siren Call, but it is a little different. But anyway, enough being said. I'm not quitting Versus series indefinitely. I will come back at some point. But what happens if and when I do come back? Well, there's something that you guys may have noticed with a lot of the newer-esque Versus videos following Dooku vs. Lumaya. Now, Dooku vs. Lumaya is probably my most watched and popular Versus video. I think it's the one that gained the most attraction, and I'm still pretty proud of the video. To be honest, I think there's a lot of script edits and changes I would make now. There were parts where I wasn't fully in depth, and that video went through a lot to get where it is. I had to take out all the music because of copyright, and I had to take out a lot of the video clips for copyright, so the video is not at its peak. The original version I thought was much better, but the one you guys got was also solid, and I still agree with the verdict. To this date, I still think Dooku wins after a very difficult fight. But following Dooku vs. Lumaya, you may have noticed a bit of a pattern with my Versus videos, in that most, if not all, of the Versus videos following that video featured either a never-before-used character in the Versus series or a really obscure character in the Versus series. And that's essentially the direction that my Versus series is going to continue to go down. Because there's already so many Versus series creators who do these videos way more frequently than I ever will. And that's just a fact. I'm not going to be pumping out Versus videos to the same degree as Finalysis members. Or, that's just not going to happen. Especially right now. So when I do Versus videos, I want mine to be different. I want them to stand out. But also, as much as I love the Finalysis Versus videos, one thing that I have noticed is that they tend to use a lot of the same characters over and over and over again. And they do branch out from time to time, but they stick to a really consistent amount of characters. And I want to see new characters be used. When I will say that beyond Dooku vs. Lumaya, the Versus video I'm the most proud of, besides that one, is Anakin Solo vs. Bastila Shan. And the reason I'm so proud of that is because my opinion of Anakin Solo changed so drastically. Because before that video, I would have never considered Anakin Solo to be anything impressive. But that's because no one ever gave him a spotlight and a power scaling. Like, when I actually did the research for the video, and I broke him down and I analyzed him, he's at least tier 3. He's at least a tier 3 combatant. I would argue he's a definitive tier 3, given what he managed to accomplish at his age and some of the feats he has in that series. Like, he is really, really impressive. And it's sad to me that no one else seems to know this or power scale him like this. If I'm being honest, I don't like to reuse characters. But if there's one character I would reuse, it would be Anakin Solo. Just to give him more spotlight, because no one else is going to do it. Might as well be me. I have toyed around with the idea of doing Anakin versus Anakin. Like doing Solo versus Skywalker. I don't think Anakin Solo could beat his grandfather as of Revenge of the Sith. I think that's a pretty safe bet that Anakin, as of episode 3, he kind of stomps. But I could see Anakin Solo versus episode 2 Anakin, or early Clone Wars Skywalker, Padawan Anakin. Honestly, I could even see Anakin Solo winning that contest. But who knows? Maybe we'll do that video way in the future. Who knows? It's a funny idea. But essentially, that's how my Versus series is going to go. I am going to use characters that are either really obscure, never before used, or really rarely used. And that doesn't mean I'm only going to feature those characters. Like, I might feature a more prominent character. Like, I featured Darth Plagueis already against Avar Kriss. If I do Anakin versus Anakin, yeah. And that's just essentially how it goes. That's more if I think the matchup is good. It's more like I'm choosing an unknown character and then I'm seeing, okay, which characters from there are the most interesting combatants. And then you go from either not so recognized to more popular characters. But the basis of each Versus video moving forward are characters who are very lightly featured to not at all. Just to give them their spotlight. And because there's so many other characters in the verse that have never been used or sidelined for no reason, even though they're so, like, they could be really good Versus video candidates. For characters that are like, I'm just gonna give some examples for characters I have been really, really down to use. Like, to the point where pretty much all of these characters have scripts written out for them. I just haven't gotten around to making a video. About 2 years ago, I planned on doing Visas Mar, and Darth Mar. Their scripts are still around. Like, they're still around. I am still planning on using both of them 2 years later. I'm kind of redoing their scripts a little bit. I'm re-editing and modifying and going through them, but I do really want to move forward with those two characters. I would love to use more High Republic era Jedi. I know I'm all of a sudden the Disney canon shill of the Versus series community. I'm using Kylo Ren now and Avar Kriss and Vernestra Rwoh. But I do want to feature more High Republic characters. One matchup that I'm considering minorly is Loden Greatstorm from the High Republic. I did a post-mortem or pre-mortem breakdown of his abilities. I want to pit him against Shaak Ti. And the reason I want to pit him against Shaak Ti is because A, Loden Greatstorm is hella underrated, and I want to prove all the High Republic naysayers wrong. And B, Shaak Ti is by far one of the most overrated Jedi in the franchise, and it is actually painful sometimes to see people scale her to, like, Darth Bane and Count Dooku, and it's like, no, she's not. And Darth Plagueis, like, no, she's not. So I would love to do that matchup at some point, both as like a team. And I'm not saying like just because Loden is underrated and Shakti's overrated that Loden's gonna win by default. That's not necessarily the case. I'm just saying I want to do that video to just give my opinion on those two. But also like Keith Trennis and Skier are two really good characters. Avar Kriss could easily return at some point in the way future, I would say, the distant future. I would love to return to her character, especially if the High Republic, because the High Republic is in a prequel phase. If it goes back to present day and we see, you know, more of Avar down the line and more of her feats and more stories with her, I would love to give her like an updated power scaling video or versus video. But yeah, them. Another character I've been really down to use is Kira Holt. Like, how many people even know Kira Holt is a thing? Or she's a character in Star Wars. Like, nobody knows about her. And I have her comics. And like Knight's Errand and the comics, they're really good. She's a really cool character. And like, people have like talked about Lord Odeon in the Versus video. They don't even know Kira Holt like exists half the time. And it's weird. Like, because she's a really cool character. So I would love to like, she has a full breakdown. That's my computer over there. You can't see it, but there's a script for her that I just haven't got around to that I really want to do one day. And lastly, this is going to be a little interesting, but Darth Sion. I really want to use Darth Sion at some point because here's the thing. You can get past Sion's immortality depending on the matchup. Because you can have a Jedi Exile versus Sion situation in which Mitra just beats Sion down until he just can't fight anymore. She just drains his stamina and then she talks him down. You can have combatants who can just overwhelm Sion and then capture him or knock him out or imprison him. So you can get past the immortality thing and still do a breakdown of him. So Darth Sion, I mean, he's a very obscure Star Wars character, but I would be down to give him something. But those are essentially character ideas I've had for a while. I don't really have any big plans for them, but that's essentially it. And also more just singular power scaling videos. If I don't necessarily want to do versus videos, I'm also down to do just basic power scaling, like how powerful was. I've already done Vernestra Rwoh and Loden Greatstorm in the pre-mortem style, but I'm also currently writing the script for a How Powerful is Luke Skywalker in the Disney timeline. Again, I'm the canon shill of the Versus series community. Boo-hoo, go cry about it. But I'm currently working on that video, and it's a fun ride. I will say it's a very different type of power scaling video than I've done previously, but it has my own flair to it. I think you guys are going to be both pleased with how the video comes out, but also you guys are going to be impressed and shocked with Canon Luke, because Canon Luke, he's a lot more powerful than I think any of you guys really give him credit for. I think he is pretty powerful, and you guys will be shocked. But also, I'm also down to do the Jedi Exile, do a How Powerful was Mitra Surik. She's an interesting character. She's always being second to Revan. Let's give her spotlight, because Mitra's awesome. But that's really my Versus series power scaling. I do have a bunch of old Versus video trailers of Versus battles that never came out. I had a Ram Koda versus Ahsoka one from like 3 years ago that never happened. There's Darth Maul versus Luke Skywalker. There's Visas Mar versus Teneb Kel from 2 years ago. Those never happened. Darth Barriss versus Darth Warlock III never happened. Darth Barriss versus Darth Warlock III. don't consider it necessarily gone. No one's ever really gone. Because that script was complete. No, it is complete, almost complete. Maybe I'm editing some stuff. Maybe I'm editing my script a little bit, but it was done. The video was done and was going to be published, and then there were technical errors that had me have to delete it. So, who knows? That matchup might not be gone forever. And yeah, Darth Barris has been used once before, but only once before. How about we can use him twice? We can use him twice. And Darth Warlock, he's been used a couple times, but hey, who's ever been upset about Darth Warlock in a versus video? But yeah, that's essentially the nature of versus videos. And also Darth Marr and Visas Marr. As I hinted at before, they're still gonna show up. I'm not gonna leave them hanging. I have picked new opponents for them. I wasn't really satisfied with Teneb Kel and Luke Skywalker. Considering I'm doing a power scaling video on a different version of Luke, I don't want to rehash Luke, so I'm doing a different character, a more obscure Star Wars character, and another character for Visas. But that's all my Versus series stuff. I'm finally done with it. Now this is more of a book / reading style for Star Wars. I've been doing Adventures of Sirin Call for a little while now. I've been doing the Adventures of Sirin Call for a little while now, and I still highly enjoy the series. I'm taking a little break currently. Shadow's Vengeance has tired me out a little bit just because there's so many plot lines, and it's probably gonna be one of the more convoluted stories, and it's longer. I'm just taking a little break from it right now. Get a little hype back. Then I can finish it, and then book 5, which I'm still saying nothing about. That book is gonna be powerful. It's gonna be a really heavy and strong and intense story with Sirin Call. And it's going to fundamentally change the character in ways you probably don't expect. But I don't necessarily only want to tell stories with Sirin Call. I love him as a character, and I'm excited to do the spin-off with Jorn Kavar at some point. And also Gary and Vol might get a spin-off at some point, but we're not going to talk about that just yet. That's coming way down the line. Sirin's going to have several more books before you see the Garian spin-off. But I've also been considering doing some character stories with featured canon Star Wars characters. I've been interested in doing a rewrite of the Revan novel, because let's be real, the Revan novel is really bad. I would love to do a Revan novel, rewrite, that not only serves as a sequel to KOTOR 1 and a setup to SWTOR, but also a fundamental sequel to KOTOR 2. I'd be down for a Jedi Exile story, do Mitra Surik as the Grand Master of a new Jedi Order with the party of KOTOR 2. That would be a really fun story to tell. I could do my own version of Sword of the Jedi with Jaina Solo, post Fate of the Jedi, and maybe setting up the Imperial Knights and Emperor Rowanfell from Legacy. These are all just ideas in my head. I've also had ideas in the past for canon characters, like a Jedi Finn story, something with the characters from Fallen Order, maybe do a Cal and Jaro Tapal, or a Seer and Trilla story. Hell, we could even do a Malicos story if we wanted to. But yeah, what would you guys think of existing Star Wars characters and me writing books with those characters as well? Because maybe you guys trust me with those characters. I don't know, but that's about it for the video. Hope you guys are okay with the way we're going with Versus series. I hope you guys are actually not gonna kill me over this. You probably won't, but yeah. See ya. Bye.